40 to 50% of code is getting generated through generative AI, right? Even Microsoft itself is basically producing around 30 to 40%, right? Are you really sure that still we will have our hand in the software? How long?
There is no software engineering now. Everything is actually becoming AI engineering.
Right.
All about. So much is changing. There's so much every day that each and every individual is learning, that you can never call yourself that I am an expert.
Learner always.
I have to be a learner. I learn something, I become an expert, but there is something new which is coming where I'm still a learner. So my learning curve will always be there, and I keep learning. So that being the reason, be curious in order to keep learning about yourself.
Curious.
Right? And be upskilling yourself and cross-skilling yourself to ensure that you stay relevant.
Arjun, I think you have a vast experience, 20 plus years. We are talking about AI, not about AI of last 3 years. You are talking about much earlier days, as well as you are someone who is actually talking about technology and architecture.
When we say a human in loop, it's all about when an AI does a job, is a possibility of an hallucination. And in order to reduce or control that hallucination, a human in loop is a necessity. But the forward thinkers within the AI space, who are so-called the gurus of AI,
right,
have already thought about that how we can actually reduce that human in loop and make the AI more robust and an empowered AI. Stay curious, be curious to learn things, right? And question it in an appropriate manner, because questioning is an art of a skill, right? You just cannot question just because you want to question it, right? Think about it and then question it.
Welcome, Arjun. Thank you very much for coming second time. And, I am so glad that this time we are able to take podcast along with you, right? So thank you very much. Why don't you introduce yourself, Arjun?
Firstly, it's a pleasure to be here, because thank you so much for inviting me. As said last time as well, it's a pleasure coming over here, interacting with you and your team. Bunch of brilliant guys at your firm, right? It's always nice interacting with people who have a lot of zeal and infectious right? Because that carries people forward, right? To give a short synopsis and introduction of myself, been in the industry as an IT professional for over 2 decades now. Been a hardcore technologist all through my career, and for the last close to about 8 years now, been in the AI space, working on various client engagements, doing various client services. One of the key aspects for me to actually get into an AI is that being a technologist and being a techno person, and for a long period of time been in various capacities in the architecture fulcrum. So that also helped and enabled me to make a smooth transition in the AI space 8 years back. So that being the reason, in my current role, I basically lead the delivery and the offerings for AI in the space of AI, anything and everything within AI, which can include a conversational AI, which can include a Gen AI or an agentic AI, or as latest as an MCP, which is a multi protocol standpoint.
Perfect. So thank you very much, Arjun. I think you have a vast experience, 20 plus years, and you are talking about AI, not of last 3 years. You are talking about much earlier days, as well as you are someone who is actually talking about technology and architecture. Now, Arjun, I think there are multiple questions in my mind, right? And all these questions would be very, very useful for the people who will be listening to that. Now, honestly, when you were last time here, you did talk about evolution of software architecture. And I would like to say, right, that has given me a sleepless night couple of days, specifically because I think I was in a myth, honestly speaking, right? And I was in a myth that because I'm of your age, right? I'm close to 50, right? And I was thinking that what technologists of today's age will do, right? And how you really see the evolution of architecture in the era of AI. What do you feel basically? Give some highlights towards that.
Absolutely, Vikas. I've always felt architecture is a fundamental core for any software, whether it is AI. Through an AI, you build a software, or you build a software through any other technology. For that example, architecture is a fundamental fulcrum. So that being the reason, the evolution of architecture has happened in such a way that the importance has increased in a big magnitude, right? And today, even a developer has to understand an architecture before he actually gets into his build phase, which is his coding phase, right? And it is a necessity. It is not an importance, but a necessity, even at a developer layer. So that being the reason, even a business person, right, or even a leadership guy has to understand an architecture when there is a tech transformation that is happening at a client place, right? Even in a client organization.
No, I fully agree, right? Sorry, I have just interjected you right here. Why I'm basically, very curious about that, since last few months, I'm very much connected in the Bay side of it, Bay side of US actually, right? And that's where everything starts, right?
Yes.
And as in xTransMatrix, we do talk about human in the loop AI, right? I'm getting requirements, demands of vibe coders. Right now, you know what vibe coders are? Vibe coders are pretty much those people who are just by vibe doing their particular coding, and I feel they are little, low towards an architecture standpoint. Right? Tell few things. Add that aspect also. That's happening.
See, I mean, there are two dimensions to it,
Yeah.
right? The one dimension is that it's all about, for example, if you have to build your house, right, you need to think how you
Yes.
want the building to come up, right? Or you want to just go with a standard template of a structure with with commonalities,
Right.
right? Like two bedrooms, one living room, one
Right.
kitchen, so on and so forth, right? Do you prefer, right? That's one dimension to it. Why then architecture becomes the importance of architecture shapes up, right? The second dimension is, right, previously, traditionally, developers or the coders used to spend a lot of time in terms of running or writing thousands of lines of
Which
code,
is not
right?
happening, Arjun,
Right,
actually, right?
absolutely,
Just
right?
by prompting.
And
And
that used to take or consume days, months, and even a couple of years for a project to get completed, right?
right.
And we all understand that it is so very important that to finish it as quickly as possible. Otherwise, that particular product or a software or what we build can become redundant,
Right.
right? And that's where people started realizing that just not a coder, but also the business as well as the management team. And that's where new concepts came, new ways of doing coding came, right? As you were calling it out, right? There is a low code, no code kind of
Yes.
platforms, right? Why it is because everything is inbuilt in it so that you have to do more of a drag and drop kind of a mechanism.
Pretty much, I do, think about, right, when we started our coding, right? And I mean, we were in pretty much C era, right, altogether. I was doing C coding, actually, pretty much device driver works at that moment. Uh, of course, debugging was a very different way at that moment. You really need to know about each and every line. There is an interpreter which goes on, right? But now, if you really see, with the help of Gen AI, most of these youngsters, they are doing coding. They're doing reasonable well, but at the same time, there are issues around that, right? So what exactly industry has to do for that, right? I'm sure this is not going to change that these youngsters, because they have started like that, right? But what industry should do?
Industry is already doing it. One is how we can actually build faster, right? For which there is no code, low code kind
Exactly.
of
Great point, sir.
platforms, right? But one key aspect to be observed and to be implemented when coders use low code, no code platforms is all about you should have an idea of what is the components, software components within the platform that you need to drag and drop, right? And for that, you need to know the bigger picture, which is your architecture picture,
Right.
which usually the coders actually miss on it. They know that, okay, these are the components, these are the libraries on a Python. Okay, you do a drag and drop, you're done with it. No, you need to look at the bigger picture and then do it. Then it will be more effective in terms of the outcome, what a coder is doing. First aspect to it. The second aspect to it also, the latest generations also don't like actually doing 15 hours of work doing a coding job and all, right? I mean, they always
And
want
we
to do it
cannot
just
change
in
it.
time.
And
Yes,
we cannot
which
change
is a
it
good
now.
habit.
Yeah.
They want to have their personal life
Yes.
as well as they want to balance out with their professional life as well. So they want to do a good 5 to 6 hours of an absolute work and relax for the next bit of time during the day, which is actually good. And that's where this low code, no code actually helping these platforms
Right.
are. So that actually balances out, right? Where the businesses actually look for faster products, the coders want to finish it faster. So it's actually making up. And it's making up nicely, but it's just that they have to broaden up their horizons in terms of understanding the bigger picture from an architecture standpoint when they are building the software.
Okay, let me move you towards basically various types of AI actually, right? We all have heard about an AI. AI is not a today's generation thing, right? It
It's been
is,
existing.
it's since 1940s basically, right? It is there, right? From our era, we have seen, I do remember when there was a black and white TV, Joint Robot, which was a Japanese program used to come on Sunday actually, right? So AI is from long period of time, right? Altogether. There are different types of AI. But since last few years, we are hearing about generative AI. Then we are talking about different types of generative AI, where is conversational AI, like there are chatbot. We at xTransMatrix also do support a lot of clients towards that front. Agentic AI, right? And then we are talking about multiverse agentic AI, where only agents are going to talk to each other, and there is a lot of observations, and that's where I do bring called human in the loop AI actually, right? What's your view towards that? How you really wanted to segment it out?
I mean, it's a broad spectrum from an AI standpoint. And whatever you called out from an AI, right, whether it is a bot, a chat bot, a conversational or a Gen AI or an agentic AI, these are all the evolutions of AI that has happened over a period of time with one sole intent that how we can actually make AI more enabled and empowered in order to do a human job, most of the human job.
Right.
And when we say a human in loop, it's all about when an AI does a job, there is a possibility of an hallucination, right?
Yes.
And in order to reduce that hallucination or in order to control that hallucination, a human in loop is a necessity. But the forward thinkers within the AI space who are so-called the gurus of AI
Right.
have already thought about that how we can actually reduce that human in loop and make the AI a more robust and an empowered AI. And that is where you are seeing an agentic AI coming into play, multi-agents coming into play, which is nothing but a set of activities are done by not a single agent, but multiple agents doing it, which is nothing but if Vikas today wants to do a project, he will not just hand it over to a single coder in order to do that project. Probably he will stand up about 10 people. Instead of the 10 people, he can have 10 agents doing that job.
So Arjun, that's what I used to say, and that's what I'm basically, feeling that, me running an organization, have an agent who is helping my marketing function. In fact, taking over, why not actually, right? And one of them is, looking for sales pipeline. And then do I have for delivery a team of few agents with one or two people who are, do we say that slowly we are moving away from the scale? We have actually seen the scale in our country, right, where teams were grown from 4 to 5 members to 8 members, and then people talking about 100 members. What is happening now actually, right? It is evolving, I know that.
It is evolving, right? Again, we need to be a little pragmatic in terms of where we want to use an AI, right? And as you called out, right, marketing function is a function where a lot of repetitive activities
Yes.
happen, and also not too much of out of the box things happen because it is a very streamlined aspect of it. There, an AI agents coming
Right.
into play and doing a job actually makes sense. But when you want to do that same in a software, when you have to build a software and you want to bring an agent, you need to be pragmatic into in what pockets you want to bring an agent.
Sure.
It's not about you want to bring an agent for the entire software. That might not be feasible because a human intelligence cannot be beaten by an AI intelligence.
So this is where, Arjun, I'll probably not challenge you, but I think for the viewers, I'll challenge you now, right? What I have heard, right, and what I am going through actually, most of the service organizations, I think very recently, I will not name, they are talking about their 40 to 50% of code is getting generated through generative AI, right? Even Microsoft itself is basically producing around 30 to 40%, right? I have gone through one of a podcast from Sam Altman, right? It is a very recent one, and he is actually talking about, which is nothing but as Codex came into picture, Codex, which they have launched a couple of months back, and they are talking about three things which might be, you know, I won't use word called vanishing, but those three things which will be very soon going to have a lot of, AI thing. One thing which they talk about is software engineering, right? And I'm literally talking about repetitive work, and of course, 60 to 70% is something what we do there, right? Then the second thing is they're talking about education because there is a lot of personalization required for teaching part. And third thing which people are trying with Waymo and all, the driving part actually, right? Let's talk about software engineering, right? Are you really sure that still we will have our hand in the software, right? How long? What's your view on that, front?
We will definitely have people on the software, right? There is no software engineering now. Everything is actually becoming AI engineering.
Right,
Right. So if you actually deploy agents in order to build a software, you need people in order to oversee those agents.
AI observability. This is what you are moving towards, right?
Right. It's all about observability. It's all about how you are going to monitor your systems.
Right.
So you will not monitor your systems, but AI will monitor your systems, but you need people in order to monitor AI.
Exactly. So here I would probably say that with an example, we do work with few of our customers where there is AI who works with their customer, and our team do observe them with the prompting part of it, right? So this is what you are going
Prompt
towards.
engineering is all
Prompt engineering, right? Perfectly
prompt
fine,
engineering is
perfectly
all about,
fine,
right? So that being the reason, it's not about that now. As humans and also as IT professionals, we don't basically work on the lower strata of the software. Now we have elevated ourselves to the higher strata of the software, right? Because for the lower strata of the software, it is basically that we have figured out that an agent or an AI can actually do that job, and that's where we are deploying them in order to do the job, so that we don't waste the human resource over there, but we bring more of a human in the loop concept over there, and our human resource doing the human in loop aspect of the job for us to ensure that what we are building and catering to the client is the best possible in the best quality.
Perfect. No, nice, Arjun. I think this is really even connecting to something which I am going to talk today, right?
Okay.
There are a lot of youngsters who do listen to this, right? Even I cater to the young crowd, which we say Gen Z and Gen Alpha also, right, to some extent. What do you want to suggest them with respect to how they should build their career? I'll probably, give a phrase towards that. I personally feel that there would be less than 1% of people who will be creating AI, but there will be more than 90% of people who will be using AI, right? So how exactly, what is your suggestion to them, right?
See, in the current context, especially in the AI era, right, skilling and upskilling is very important.
Learnability.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, skilling and upskilling, first aspect of it. The second aspect of it is always it has become more prevalent, and also it has become highly important, which is adaptability, right?
Adaptability.
You need to be flexible enough in terms of how quick.
Changing, quite
Yeah,
fast change, right?
because
Not like us,
everything is changing so fast,
right?
right? So you need to be flexible enough in order to keep adapting yourself to it, right? And the third most important thing is all about humility, right? Because there is so much that is changing, there is so much every day that each and every individual is learning, that you can never call yourself that I am an expert and I can carry an
A
air
learner always.
and I can carry an air around me, right? Because I have to be a learner, because I learn something, I become an expert, but there is something new which is coming where I'm still a learner. So my learning curve will always be there, right? And I keep learning. So that being the reason, be curious, in order to keep learning about yourself,
Curious.
right? And be upskilling yourself and cross-skilling yourself to ensure that you stay relevant.
Arjun, honestly speaking, it was so nice talking to you on these things, right? What is the last sentence you would really wanted to say to the people who are listening to you?
I would just try to put about 2 to 3 things for all of you over there, that stay curious, be curious, to learn things, right? And question it in an appropriate manner, because questioning is an art of a skill, right? You just cannot question just because you want to question it, right? Think about it and then question it. The third most important thing is about always ensure to carry a certain degree of humility, because your humility in an AI era can actually take you to places. And that's about it. Thanks.
Thank you, Arjun. Thank you very much.